Triambakam yajamahe sugantim pushtivardhanam urvarukamiva bandhanam mrityurmukshyamamritat
Hi, this is Amelía Eon Karis.
Hey everyone, it's Satya, and you're listening to Love, Sex, and the Hidden Agenda. Hi, it's Satya. I have Amelía here.
Hello.
How are you, Amelía?
I'm feeling good. A bit hot. It's very humid here.
It's windy and cool up here with an ocean breeze.
Nice.
Yes. I was actually hanging out today in Marin County near the ocean at a friend's house, and I was fascinated that one of my friends, she's like a 6 foot tall Latvian woman, gorgeous, perfect bone structure, giant blue eyes, blonde hair. And she was telling me about how she was walking in the grocery store and this girl was passing her in the grocery aisle and said something to her like, "You're so fake." And she said she went into like a little shock, but she didn't say anything. Nobody knows what to say, right? When that kind of thing happens.
Yeah, that's shocking.
Nobody knows what to say. So she kept going down the aisle, and she 2 aisles later, I kid you not, the girl comes down the aisle again, says again to her,
Wow.
says, "Oh, fake people, like you're so fake," something like that. And she literally, she says she just could not handle it. She had to say something at that point, which I think I probably would have felt the same way. I mean, given a second chance, that hardly ever happens, right? You get a second chance. In case
she thought of a good comeback.
Right. 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 Oh my goodness. And this girl, it was probably about 19 years old or something. And my friend, she's about 31. And so, she said to her, "Why would you say something like that? Why would you try to hurt me? Why would you try, you don't even know me, And
she was able to ask her that?
Yeah. Because I think she felt like this girl needed maybe to change. Because you can't go around grocery stores just being mean like that. You can't be a mean person. I mean, I guess you can, but and she said that she had a lot of makeup on and she was really dressed up and stuff. But besides that, I mean, she doesn't have anything fake. She's just a natural. One of those,
beauty.
Yeah.
She doesn't have plastic surgery or anything.
No.
Her lips.
Right. And this girl who said
Not
something.
That makes it okay. But
right. Well, I guess this girl who said something to her had like darker hair, darker skin. And she said to her, "Girls like you," this is what she said to my friend, "girls like you used to bully me in school." And then she started to even cry because she felt so bad about that story, that the girl said that. And so my friend just said, please, I was bullied too, but I don't go around now just being mean to people who look like the people who bullied me, or whatever. But she was just so, she said she started to cry, and then the girl finally said to her, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. And so the girl probably had a total transformation. Maybe next time she runs across, a tall, gorgeous, blue-eyed girl, that she won't be so mean or passing on, what happened to her, just passing on the negative stuff. And maybe next time she'll think of my friend. She'll think of, well, there was one that was really nice to me, but it just made me, I just was tripping out on that whole thing, because it's so heartbreaking to me to just know that people are still we're still struggling so much with how people look, or if something negative happened to us and they look like the person who did that thing to us. Well, then, yeah. I mean, even in psychology, they call it transference. If you meet somebody who reminds you of somebody who you had a bad experience with, that's it,
Mm-hmm. Oh my God. It's so interesting for me to hear this, because one of my big healing moments was with inside of a workshop where we had this exercise. I was doing Landmark. I don't know if you know that. It's this huge, worldwide self-development educational system. But they have this advanced course where they lock 200 people in a room for like 12 hours for 3 days, 12 hours a day for 3 days. And they make you do this like deep work to heal your past and to heal your traumas. And so a lot of stuff comes up around, being bullied or different wounds that are running your life so that you can put it in the past. And one of the exercises is they have like one row of people go stand up in the front of the room. And mind you, there's like 200 people in the room. So one row of like 50 is standing in front of the room, and they just say like, take in the audience. And, you go looking around the audience and like scanning everyone. And you're supposed to look at every single person in the room. And I was like, oh, I love this exercise. Like, I love being present with people, and nobody's as real as me. Like, this is what I was thinking. I was so arrogant. I was like 28 years old at the time. And I was like, okay, so here I am in front, and I'm like, ooh, I love this, because I was such a like fierce person. It was like leadership training, and I was a CEO of my company at the time and doing really well financially. So I was full of myself. And I was like, yeah, bring it on. Like, I can look anyone, I can stare anyone down. I'm so tough. And I'm standing there and I'm looking at everyone in the room, and I had no problem with anyone in the room except one girl. There was one girl in the room that I couldn't look at. Every time my eyes met her, I would get averted. And I was like, ooh, God, I don't like her at all. Didn't know why. No idea why. And then they ask one of the rows randomly to stand up and then come line up in front of the 50 people that are there and stand toe to toe with whoever ends up in front of you. Who do I get? That girl.
Oh, goodness.
Like, what are the freaking chances?
No way.
Yeah, I get this girl. I already started shaking. My body started going into weird tremors. And I was like, what's happening? What's happening? And then I'm toe to toe with this girl, and I'm supposed to look in her big blue eyes. And I can't look at her. And I start crossing my arms. And the rules were, you had to keep your hands at your side. You had to just breathe and just look them in the eye. That's it. But I couldn't do that. I couldn't do it at all. Everybody else seemed to be able to do it. And the guy who was leading the whole group was standing like way in the back of the room. Okay, it's a lot of people in a room. Like, of the 50 people, there's 100 people now standing in front of the room or something. Maybe it was like 25. No, it was probably like 25 and 25. But whatever, there's a huge chunk of us standing in the front of the room, and the rest of the people are sitting down. And the guy is like yelling at me, telling me to uncross my arms. He's like completely singling me out. He's like, come on, put your arms down, stare at her. And the second I looked at her, my whole chest is shaking, and then I start bawling, crying. I can't look at her.
Oh, wow.
So embarrassing, because at that time in my life, I never cried. Now I'm very used to it. But at that time, I did not cry. I was so tough. I was in martial arts. I mean, I was a tough chick. And anyway, then he took a break, and I ran to the bathroom, and I'm crying in the bathroom like, what just happened? Why is that girl so... I don't like her. And then she sees me in the bathroom washing my face. And she's like, oh my God, can I hug you? Thank you so much. You're the only real person in the room.
Oh, wow.
And she wants to hug me. And I'm like, don't touch me, bitch. Like, that's what was happening in my head. And I just was frozen. I couldn't even speak to her. I think I would just stood there, washed my face with my mouth open, like, are you kidding me? And then I didn't even want to go back in the room. But of course, the exercise is not over. We come back in the room. I'm the last one in. And they lock the doors too. Like if you miss the timing, you're locked out or whatever. So I'm the last one in and the teacher's at the door and he grabs me and pulls me aside. He's like, what's going on with you? I was like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with me. He's like, what do you feel towards that girl? I'm like, she's fake. And he was like, oh, really? And I said, yeah. He's like, why? Who does she remind you of? I was like, my mom and my sister. And he's like, did you tell her that? I was like, no. And he goes, so then who's fake then?
Oh.
And he walks away.
Oh.
And he leaves me there. And I was just like, oh my God, he just clowned me, you know? And I sit in the very back row and I'm convulsing. Like I can't control myself at all. My legs are shaking off the ground. I'm going into like a Kundalini response, like weird fear. And I was trying to control it. I was like pushing my legs down to the ground to try to stop them from shaking. And there was like a woman who sat next to me who I had done a few like partnership things with, who I really liked. She was this like sweet lady, old lady. And then he like asked me to come. He's like, oh, you know, my name's Eon. So he's like, Eon has something to share with us. Eon, come to the front of the room. And I was like, wait, what? I'm not coming to the front of the room. No. So he makes me come up there and he's like, he asked that girl, I think her name was Marie, stand up. And he makes me stare at her in front of everyone. And again, total convulsions. And he's like, what do you think of her? And I'm like, I'm not going to tell her she's fake. Because she just told me I was real.
Oh, man. Whoa.
He made me say it. He's like, tell me what you told. Tell us all what you told me at the door about her. And I was looking at him like, you asshole. I'm not going to do that. Like, that's going to hurt her so bad. Like, I don't.
Right.
And then he made me say it. So I said it. And of course, she's like getting pissed, standing there like, you know, and I was like, I don't know what's going to happen, but he held it so well. Anyway, he goes, who does she remind you of? I was like, oh, my mom and my sister, because they're, you know, same color eyes, this blue eyes. I don't have blue eyes. Anyway, then it turns out that woman's mother was the old lady sitting next to me. He's like, oh, Marie, isn't your mom in the room? And then he makes her mom stand up. And then she says, yeah, he says to her, what do you think about your mom? And she didn't like her mom. And she had brought her to that conference to fix her. So anyway, there was this whole weird mirroring going on between, yeah, I liked her mom. I thought her mom was like the sweetest. I wished her mom was my mom.
Oh, wow.
She reminded me of my mom. Like she disturbed me deeply. And it was just this weird triangulation. But it turned out it was Mother's Day, and I didn't even know that because I had no contact with my mom at that time. And it was like anyway, the whole room, there was not a dry eye in the room when he got done with us. He had somehow pulled out all of the like shadow programs that were running between me and Marie and her mom. It was really weird. She didn't like me after. I mean, clearly, like she felt that I had somehow, called her fake in front of all these people. But I was also, you know, my mom and my sister were my biggest abusers. So the blonde, blue-eyed thing really triggers me too. And it's interesting because when I was in high school, I was really mean. Like I could imagine saying that. I didn't do that, but I thought like that when I was younger. So like,
wow.
with your friend, it's like, what this, how we end up hating on each other when like our abuser has a certain look. I mean, it happens to Black people all the time, right? A black man with a hoodie is a target. Everyone thinks they're going to steal from them.
Right.
Like, you know, you hear that a lot.
Or anyone with a hoodie.
Right. Like, yeah, certain type.
Pulled over your head.
Yeah, but you don't get the blonde, blue-eyed thing a lot. But for me, I totally get the girl in the grocery store. Of course, I would never say that. But anyway, I've come a long ways since then. That was like 98 or something. 1990. But it's been, that's so beautiful that they were able to like heal it right then and there, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, I really feel like they were able to like shift something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, yeah, and it was quite a synchronicity too, because we had a listener. I don't know if you listened to that. Did you hear that the listener was saying that they had a similar issue?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's Latina, and she was saying she wanted to be blonde and blue-eyed because she had brown hair and brown eyes and brown skin. And she thought, like, she grew up in the US, first generation, like thinking that she would only be accepted if she looked Caucasian, or that she had this desire to be Caucasian, which to me was really ironic because I grew up wanting to be brown.
See, that's interesting to me. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I wanted to either be Black, but I definitely wanted curly hair and brown skin because I think I just inherently, since I'm very, very young, sort of hated white men. It's hard to say that out loud, but it's true. Like they freaked me out, and not just the men, obviously the blonde women too, but I didn't know that about the women until that event that I just talked about. But when I was younger, I never dated, like all through high school and after, you know, my young adult life. I always dated brown skinned people, or at least darker featured people, or especially non-Americans. Like I didn't trust American men, and I think it's because they were my perpetrators as a child in that born again Christian cult I grew up in.
Wow. Well, that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah,
have we talked a lot about that? Actually, on another note, I need to make a note for myself.
I know we should talk about that. But what was interesting is just like a month ago, there was this French Canadian guy here who was trying to like flirt with me, and he said, "You're really guarded, and you're very this and that." And he was like saying all this stuff to me, and I said, "Well, probably because I don't like the way you're." I'm not used to speaking to, like, he was light skinned, blonde haired, big white guy. Even though he's French Canadian, he has a look of like a North American guy. And I said, "I'm sorry, I have an inherent distrust for men that look like you. And I know it has nothing to do with you and you're not them, but I have a really hard time with the way you're talking to me and like your body language, everything about your aggressiveness. I don't know how to relax in your presence. So yeah, I guess you would see me as really guarded."
And, you said that?
Yeah, I said that to him.
Good for you.
And of course, then it was like a mission for him to get me to trust him. And he was like, "I really want to like heal you of this." And I was like, "Well, that's sweet. Let's keep talking." So we had an amazing conversation. I told him about the podcast and I was like, "No, I'm trying to heal this. But like, honestly, you freak me out." And
I love it that you told him that.
I know. And it was kind of interesting. He was like, "No, I think that you should just let me like hold you and massage you, and like you're gonna just to like know that I'm a good guy. And I was like, this guy is kind of a gentleman. Like he seemed to have good values. He was a fireman and a builder, and like very masculine dude that I thought, that's cool. He has like good.
Asking to massage you.
This one's definitely got an agenda. Sorry, I had to chime in on that one.
I forgot you were there in the background. Joe like sneaks in.
I'm just telling you, as a guy, I've tried all of that stuff that he's talking about, and I had an agenda.
Oh, you tried it before?
Yeah, it's real easy to read like why girls don't trust you, and then you earn their trust. And yeah, he's got an agenda.
Yeah, and then he's like, I was like, no, I'm not into just cuddling and all that. Anyway, then he like wanted to walk me home. We were at like this event, and I was like, okay, I'll walk with you a little bit. We're kind of going the same direction. And then he's like, oh, can I take you out to dinner? And I was like, okay, I'll go out to dinner with him. I was like, if you take me to a proper like restaurant, like is he asking me on a date? Okay, like I'm not just gonna hang out with him. But yeah, he like was massaging my shoulders and stuff, and he was obviously like getting all excited. I'm like, okay, that's enough. I'm going. Like that didn't work. You're not really proving a damn thing right now. So I'm going home.
Yeah.
And then like 2 days later, which was the date, he'd asked me on a date. He texted me at like 8 o'clock. And I was like, okay, this guy is full of crap, He texted me at 8 p.m. and he's like, so drinks on, he knows I don't drink alcohol. So he's like, lemonade on my balcony. And I was like, that's not dinner, dude. Sorry.
Lame.
So it didn't really help me get over my initial guarded instincts with him. So I guess they were there for a reason. But next.
Well, since I'm thinking about this feedback from this listener, and I'm thinking about how the blue-eyed thing was one thing that she had said, and then she was healing that. And she mentioned also something about, like, this kind of turns the discussion a little bit, but she was talking about how what her feelings were about Trump in relation to a previous episode when you had expressed some of your feelings on this topic, about white men and about President Trump. And she'd said that she had some kind of awakening the night that he was elected. Did you hear that part?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought that was really interesting because I also got that like tagged in feeling. I think that's what I was talking about in her reference. But yeah, she said she had a full-on awakening during the inauguration, and like it opened her voice, and she felt that she was understanding like her specific role of being someone who has mixed blood. Like she has European descent, indigenous blood, as well as South American Latino blood. And she was like finding this bridge within herself. And that's a great topic for our next podcast because we are running out of time.
We are?
Mm-hmm.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah. That was a random sort of like loop-de-loop about blue eyes.
That was.
The eyes are really, we access soul memory through the eyes.
Wow. Oh, we should talk about that. But, and I think she was also, our listener had said that she was bullied by some people, right? That had blonde hair and blue eyes. But yet at the same time, she very desperately wanted to look like that.
Yeah, with the popular girls.
Right. But okay, so let's go on to the next subject in the next episode. Wrap us up, Amelía.
Thank you all for listening. You know where to find us, lovesexagenda.com, and on Instagram and on Facebook and on all of the podcast channels. Thank you so much for listening. And please share with us your comments and any feedback or questions or stories that you have that might spur our discussion even deeper. Thank you. Thanks,
Thank
Joe.
Thanks for hanging out with us. If you'd like to contact us and stay in touch with us, you can find us at lovesexagenda.com. That's lovesexagenda.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram, Love, Sex, and the Hidden Agenda.
Prachodayat.